Beyond the physical, beyond the mental, there is this current of spiritual energy that weaves life together, known by many names across tradition and time, such as chi, prana, ki, mana, or even spirit. It is the force that moves through you, shaping your body, your emotions, your thoughts, and more. The subtle energy is the string connecting the source to the physical, the formless to the form. It is the living current that allows life itself to move. While it often goes undetected because it exists beyond the purely physical senses, there are ways to learn to perceive it directly. And even if you cannot yet see or feel it, that does not mean it's any less real. Life force energy is as tangible as your breath and as consistent as your heartbeat. When you learn to become still and learn to silence the mind, what was once unperceivable begins to reveal itself. Life force energy can also be divided up as it is expressed in many different forms. Different traditions across the world have observed this for thousands of years, each giving language to what they experience directly. When we look deeper into how energy takes form, we can see it through the pattern of creation itself, the Fibonacci sequence, and the Tao's creation process, both revealing how life force unfolds into existence. We begin with zero, the everything and the nothingness of the Tao, pure potential, no separation. Then comes Wu Ji, the source, the foundation of all energies, meaning without limit, infinite void, and this is expressed by the first one in the Fibonacci sequence. Next is Tai Chi, the second one, the first movement of creation, the cosmic principle, the point where the infinite begins to express itself. Then arises yin and yang, the two, the dance of duality present in all energies, light and dark, masculine and feminine, contracting and expanding, the foundations of polarity in every aspect of life force. From duality comes the Trinity, represented by three. Nearly every tradition points to this principle. Energetically, we can see it in the Taoist three treasures, or the three subtle essence in yogic sciences, directly correlating to the energetic pools of the Dantian, the lower, middle, and upper energy centers. Then comes the elements, expressed by five. Across the world and traditions agree on this division of energy, with many following similar aspects of the yoga's division of the five elements being earth, water, fire, air, and space. But in Taoism and traditional Chinese medicine, the five elements are split into Wu Jing, the five phases of Qi: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. As we continue to divide energy, we can start to see how this begins to divide into the 10,000 things, the entire manifested universe, with 8 being able to represent concepts like Tao's Bagao, the 8 limbs of yoga, or Buddhists' Noble Eightfold Path, the path to enlightenment. 13 matching up with the astrology and the universal time cycles, and 21 being expressed through sacred geometry and the major arcana of the tarot. Continuing and expanding into the creation of the 10,000 things, known as the entire manifested universe. The deeper we divide and observe life force, the more infinite expression we find. This is true both internally, within your own being, and externally into the cosmos. Life force is a fractal, endlessly unfolding, and yet always sourced from the same unity.
What they didn't realize was that as you make more and more powerful microscopic instruments, the universe has to get smaller and smaller in order to escape the investigation. Just as when the telescopes become more and more powerful, the galaxies have to recede in order to get away from the telescopes. Because what is happening in all these investigations is, through us and through our eyes and senses, the universe is looking at itself. So there's always that profound mystery. If there were not that, you see, there would be no life.
To understand life force energy more deeply, let's explore some of the key expressions. The ancient principles that describe how life force moves, gathers, and transforms within you. These concepts are found across different traditions, and together they paint a fuller picture of what the living current truly is. Firstly, why even look into these depths of division of life force energy? Because by understanding its different expressions, we learn how it actually moves through us. How it shapes our health, our emotions, our thoughts, and even our spiritual awakenings. Every tradition that has studied energy discovered that life force has certain qualities, flows, and pulls where it gathers. These insights allow us not only to describe this energy, but to work with it, to cultivate it, and to master it. When we learn to balance these energies, we don't just support the physical and mental health of the body, we begin to align with something much greater. We enter into deep harmony with life itself, moving with the current instead of against it. One of the first and deepest truths about the life force energy is that it does not flow as a single, uniform current. It expresses itself in many qualities, such as the three fundamental qualities, a trinity of energies that form the foundation of your being. In Taoist teachings, these are called the three treasures, Jing, Qi, and Shen. And in yogic sciences, they're often mirrored in the three vital essences of Ojas, Tejas, and Prana. And with other cultures, this represents as the body, mind, and spirit. When we look at the trinity of life force energy, we see that it aligns directly with the three great dantians, the deep energy pools of the body. Each one stores and cultivates a different aspect of life force energy. The lower dantian holds Jing in the Taoist terms, or Ojas in the yogic science, the foundational essence. The middle dantian holds Qi, or Tejas, the moving, transformative fire of life. The upper dantian holds Shen, or Prana, the spiritual light and higher intelligence of energy. Jing and Ojas are the foundational structure energy of life. They are the grounding essence, the earth and water energy of the body. A clay-like vitality that gives you structure and endurance. They form the deep reserves that every other energy draws upon. Cultivated through sexual energy retention, deep rest, nourishment, and certain meditative practices. Qi and Tejas are the active, transformative current of life force. This is the energy that flows through the Qi body, the meridians, chakras, and nadis. It's the fire element, moving and animating the body, powering digestion, circulation, and transformation. We cultivate this through movement, the right use of will, acupuncture, qigong, yoga, breathwork, and intentional action in life. Shen and Prana are the spiritual and higher energies, connected to the air element and the mental and emotional planes. This is the energy that governs the breath, your emotional flow, your mental clarity, and your connection to the source. It is cultivated through deep meditation, breath practices, and can even be transmuted into the universal energy of the Tao. Now within the last current of Shen and Prana, we can observe 5 unique movements of energy, called the Vayus in yogic sciences. These are like 5 wind currents that move life force through being. Pranavayu, the forward moving air, flows inward and upward, centered in the head, heart, and lungs, and governs inhalation, sensory perception, and life intake. Associated with the element of metal from Wu Jing, the 5 phases of the elements. Apanavayu, the downward moving air, flows downward and outward, rooted in the lower abdomen and pelvic floor, governing elimination, grounding, sexual energy, and birth, associated with the phase of water. Samanavayu, the balancing air, floats towards the center, located at the navel, harmonizing prana and apana, powering digestion and the transformation of food, thought, and experience into energy, associated with the phase of earth. Adana-vayu, the ascending air, flows upwards and outwards, centered in the throat and head, and governs self-expression, spiritual growth, speech, and even the upward movement of Kundalini, and this is associated with the phase of wood. Vayana-vayu, the pervading air, flows in all directions, circulating through the entire body, coordinating all energies, distributing life force to every cell, and expanding your aura and presence. And this is associated with a phase of fire. This trinity of the Dantians and the fivefold flow of prana shows us that life force energy is not just an abstract concept. It's a living, breathing, structured intelligence flowing through you in layers, directions, and dimensions. Now that we've explored the trinity of life force energy, the great Dantians, the three treasures, and the five movements of prana, we can start to see the pattern emerge. Energy first arises as pure potential. Then it moves, flows, and organizes itself. But eventually, that flow begins to condense into form. This is where the elements come in. Nearly every tradition observed that life force crystallizes into five fundamental qualities of energy: earth, water, fire, air, and space. These are not just physical substances, but vibrational blueprints that shape your body, your mind, your emotions, and even your soul's expression. When you learn to work with the elements, you're not just connecting with nature around you, you're harmonizing with the deepest forces of nature within you. As we can see through the connections between the 7 central chakras, the energy centers, and the elements, balancing the elements is also balancing these chakras, the very foundation of our being. Spiritual transformation is a process of harmonizing the elemental forces within us, and this transformation unfolds through the 4 lower chakras, because they are the ones most directly linked with the 4 earthly elements, as the upper chakras are already available and do not need to be cleared or worked through. Each of these chakras is not just influenced by the elements, they are manifestations of the elements themselves. Expressions of how life force crystallizes into physical, emotional, mental, and energetic form with the human body. And this is just scratching the surface. If you want to go deeper into understanding how the elemental forces and life force shape your being, and more importantly, how to work with them through breathwork, movement, meditations, and chi practices, I go fully in depth in my new course, Mastering the Elements. It's designed to help you not just learn about the energy, but giving you the tools to experience it directly, balance your own energy, and live and flow with life force itself. If that resonates with you, check the link below in the description. That's it for today's video. Like, subscribe, leave any comments, questions, topics that you have. Until next time, peace!